But yeah, we're just gonna jump in. So I'm the founder of Monthly and the Monthly Project, but I'm gonna get more into what that means a little bit later in the presentation. I first wanted to get started.
Green button.
The green button, the big green button that I'm missing. Today I'm talking about is all of our problems, period, and we're going to talk about period poverty and the necessity of social impact. Before we get started, I wanted to do a little exercise, so I want everybody to close your eyes, and I'm going to read off 3 scenarios. And while I'm reading these off, I want you to have open hearts. I want you to listen to these with empathy and try to really put yourself in these scenarios. So let's get started with the first one. So with the first scenario, I want you to imagine that you just got off work from your food service job. So let's just say you work at McDonald's. You're tired, you're so exhausted. You know your baby's out of formula, so you head on to Walmart to get a container of formula, and when you get to the register, you realize that you're 25 cents short. The cashier had a lot of grace and she spotted you that 25 cents, and you get home and you feed your baby. And you start preparing dinner for your 2 other kids when you realize all you have is instant ramen for the night. You then sit on the toilet and you realize you just started your period. You check your cabinet, there's no pads, no tampons, you don't have anything to use, and all you have in your stash is $7. What do? Do you buy food for you and your children so that nobody has to go hungry for the rest of this week? Do you go and buy pads and tampons because you clearly need them right now? Do you wad up toilet paper and try to use that and make do when you know that your kids are going to have to use that toilet paper? Do you get a sock from your drawer and hope that that can suffice, or do you use the leftover newspaper on the counter? Now to the next scenario. Imagine you're 12 again. You wake up and your stomach hurts a bit, but you don't think much of it because your mom's rushing you out the door. She doesn't want you to miss the bus. She has to get to work. When you finally get to school, your stomach's still hurting, but you see your best friend, you forget all about that because you guys begin chatting. The bell rings, class starts, and you realize you need to go to the bathroom. You raise your hand and ask if you use the bathroom, and your teacher says, yeah, of course. You get up to leave your desk, and your best friend gets your attention. She whispers to you, you have something red on the back of your pants. I think you started your period. You're mortified, terrified. I mean, 12 years old, this is probably like worst nightmare scenario right now. You run to the nurse's office, and the nurse tells you that she doesn't carry pads or tampons in there. So you call your mom, and she says it's going to be about an hour before she can bring you some products because she's at work. And you realize that the class that you're missing is having a big test review for the test tomorrow. So now you're sitting in the nurse's office, waiting without products, and getting really, really frustrated with how your day's going. And now to our third and last scenario. Imagine you have always had a feeling that you were in the wrong body. Since you were 6, you always gravitated towards stereotypically masculine things such as boy clothes and boy toys. When you turned 18, you decided to go on hormone therapy and start your transition because you were ready to feel at home in your body. You've been on hormones for 2 years now and haven't had a period for the most of that time. Out of nowhere, you start to cramp, and that feeling is all too familiar. You know what that means. You check your boxers and you're on your period. Your worst nightmare is here again. You reluctantly head to Walmart and you head to that dreaded aisle, the period aisle. Everything is pink, purple, brightly colored. It's for women, it's for girls. And you feel so small. You feel scared, you feel hurt. You feel what's called gender dysphoria. And you grab the closest box of pads you can find, you're holding back tears, you head to the register where you get a disapproving look from the cashier, and you don't feel at home in your body anymore. You feel displaced and confused, you feel betrayed, and you just hate all of the options at the store, and you just hate the time that you're experiencing with your body right now. So you guys can all open your eyes now. That was the last scenario. Thank you for doing that with me. So what do all these scenarios have in common? They all revolve around problems with menstruation. And these problems are due to them being unaffordable, inaccessible, and not inclusive. So as we go further, I just want to define some things. And these problems of being unaffordable, non-inclusive, and inaccessible fall into 2 camps, and that's period poverty and menstrual inequity. Period poverty is defined as a lack of access to menstrual products, hygienic facilities, and education. Menstrual inequity is defined as unequal access to menstrual products, education, and reproductive care. And just because I mentioned it during scenarios, gender dysphoria is when someone feels distressed because their sex at birth no longer aligns with their gender identity. The battles here belong to all of us, even if you feel so removed from these scenarios that I presented. These are problems that have the power to affect half of the population. It's a huge amount of people. So you might be asking yourself right now, why am I getting lectured about periods? Some of you might think that these issues are a no-brainer and that there's something huge, and some of you may be reluctant or hesitant, and that's okay. I'm here to inform you on two things today, and that is the first, to bring awareness to a silent epidemic that is plaguing our country and beyond, which is period poverty and period inequity, and to talk about how important social impact is and how we can use social impact to address issues like this and many other social issues around the country. So let's take a look at some numbers. 800 million people menstruate daily. That is so many people. And that's globally, but here in the US, 16.9 million people who menstruate live in poverty, so they are likely to have problems accessing menstrual products for a multitude of reasons. And 5 states in our country require schools to provide menstrual products. 5 states out of 50, let that sink in. And 2.8 million people in the US identify as trans or gender non-binary. And with quantitative research being so low on this topic, it makes it hard for people to assess their experiences. And those experiences are critical to ensuring that we're providing menstrual equity across the board for all people. So these are some really heartbreaking statistics. And particularly in the South, menstruation and talk about menstruation is still very taboo. I'm sure even in this room, some of you guys are uncomfortable with this conversation, and that is completely okay. In my line of work, I've had to open up these difficult conversations many times, and I'm actually really happy that you're here. Because unless we have these conversations, people will continue to be left in the dark about period poverty and inequity, and it will just continue to grow and become a worse problem. So now that I've brought your attention to this issue, I'm going to kind of talk about how I'm trying to address these issues through social impact and highlight the benefit of social impact businesses. But before we get started, I do want to define what a social impact business is. So it is an organization or company that prioritizes doing work that consciously, systemically, and sustainably serves or attempts to solve a local or global community need. So, in late 2020, I started a charity project in Mobile, Alabama called the Monthly Project. The Monthly Project primarily works to fight period poverty in Mobile and help to expand that across all of the South. So what we do is provide menstrual products to people that can't afford them. So we make these little packs, and each of them has pads, tampons, panty liners, and a little Hershey's Kiss in them, and we give them to local charities that serve the people that we want to help. We also do some advocacy work, so we work on bills, and we're trying to make menstrual products more easily accessible for our state. When I started doing this, I just fell in love with the ability to provide something that has such a hard access for some people. And I just loved it. And wanting to be able to sustain the advocacy work, I wanted to find a way that we could funnel funds into this charity and charities like ours so that it'd be easier for us to give back. Because it's really hard sometimes just functioning off of donations and getting consistent donations. So I had this idea. I should create a company that could help provide funds, and that's when I founded Monthly. Monthly is a for-profit social impact business. Monthly was born, and I made it our mission to give 10% of all of our profits back to charities in the South that are dedicated to fighting period poverty and promoting menstrual equity. Not only that, but our product in itself is impactful. So Monthly makes menstrual underwear, period underwear, if you will, that are gender inclusive. So we make both a panty and a boxer brief. They're sustainable, so you can wear it, put it in the wash, and use it over and over again. And ours are also price accessible. accessible. So some on the market can cost almost $50 a pair, and I realized that that was not accessible for most people. Especially me coming straight out of college thinking about this, I was like, I do not have the ability to pay $50 for one pair of underwear, let alone 7 to 10 pairs, because that's how many you need if you want to use them exclusively. So Monthly was born from Impact through the Monthly Project, and it will continue to put social impact at the forefront of how we do business. So I share all of this to demonstrate how effective social impact businesses can be, not only to make a product, service, or business that you believe in, but you can use that business to support social change. In fact, we found that people tend to choose Monthly because of our social impact, whether that be the environmental reason, the gender inclusive reason, or our dedication to give back. One thing's for sure, we put people over profits, and it pays off morally because it's the right thing to do, but it also pays off in terms of support. So as you can see, I really believe in social impact and its importance because it is the right thing to do. But there's also so much power in social impact. And that's why so many of the companies that you guys know and love have chosen to be social impact companies. And just to name a few, there's Tom's, 7th Generation, you've probably seen them at Target, Patagonia. Interestingly, the owner of Patagonia has just dedicated all of the profits to fighting global climate change, which is like amazing. But there are many reasons that social impact businesses pay off. Companies dedicated to social impact see advancements in employee retention, in investment, and consumption. So let's look at some of the benefits of that. Social impact companies might have more investment opportunities because investors have an increasing interest in impact investing. Actually, 86% of investors express their satisfaction in companies that focus on benefiting all shareholders, or all stakeholders, not just shareholders. Social impact companies also attract more talent, and I know this conversation around talent is something that is going across Alabama. How do we retain talent? Well, it's no secret that Gen Zers and millennials want to support social impact. People in these age groups are looking for work-life integrations where they can apply their skills to something that they're really passionate about. 52% of Gen Z and 55% of millennials want to work in organizations with strong purpose and a mission towards social change. That is over half of Gen Zers and over half of millennials. That is a huge number of people. And social impact companies drive consumption. 63% of consumers prefer to purchase from purpose-driven brands. And that's from a global view. So 2/3 of global consumers want to buy products that are purpose-driven or provide social impact. And a 2018 study found that 78% of Americans expect companies to go beyond making a profit and make a positive social impact. So not only is social impact inherently good for everyone involved, but it drives business in more ways than one. And that's the sheer power of social impact. In the last year, we've seen a global pandemic, major environmental changes, and many injustices highlighted daily. And this has pushed people to turn into that social impact mindset, having such scary and uneasy things happening back to back and being covered daily on social media and the news. But even before the pandemic, there were already trends showing that the consumers were going to be putting pressure on businesses to do more than just make money. I touched on this a bit in the last section. Consumers want to buy into social impact because when they purchase from social impact businesses, it gives them the ability to get goods and services in a way that helps drive goodness that they can be a part of. But on the other hand, businesses that decide to be mission-driven and provide social impact get to provide goods and services in a way by building a sustainable growth strategy that appeals to consumers and creates consumer brand loyalty and customer pride. So what are some small things that you can do in your business or organization to start your journey into social impact? It's not difficult, it's not super hard. Just to name a few, you can hold a fundraiser for a local charity. You can give employees paid days off that they can use to volunteer, or you can do in-kind donations to local nonprofits and charity organizations. Social impact businesses have the power to change the world. They're giving consumers a way to vote with their dollars. So when a social impact company does good and starts to perform well in the market, it gives incentives to bigger corporations to do better as well. When you choose social impact, you choose to take that traditional business model and make it into something more meaningful. And as more companies jump onto social impact, we can see greater social change in our world. So I've come here today to talk about a problem that you may not have known about, which is period poverty and period inequity. and to talk a little bit about my journey and how I got into social impact, and to tell you why I think that social impact is a necessity for how we move forward and create social change. I hope that I was able to bring new knowledge to you guys today and value through this presentation. I also urge you to visit themonthlyproject.org to check out more about what my charity project does and how you can get involved, or visit shopmonthly.co, which is my period underwear brand. You can look at them. They're available for pre-order if anybody's interested. But yeah, I'm so happy and thankful to get the benefit of part of you today. I've been a part of this because this has been my first time doing this, and I'm glad that I can share it with all of you guys. And now I'd like to open up the floor to any questions. Oh, and by the way, you can email me if you have any questions and don't want to ask them here, and find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Any questions?
What was your, in college, how did you get interested in this field? Did you have like a specific, experience that brought this to your attention, or?
Yeah, so my journey into this was kind of not linear at all. I graduated from college with an English and sociology degree, and I graduated in December of 2019, right before the pandemic, and I was just unable to find jobs in the fields that I was desiring. So in a way to kind of mitigate that, I started the Monthly Project because of my exposure to period poverty and period inequity during my time in college. It just kind of grew this passion for me. And as I got more exposed to it, that's what made me want to start the brand and start advocating more. Anybody else?
How old were you when you started?
When I started the company, I think I was 22 years old. I'm 24 now. And it's been a crazy year and a half. We actually just started ramping things up, so it's been like crazy the past few months. But yeah, I'm really happy that this is the way that my career path has led me.
Yeah, for your nonprofit, have you expanded outside of the field to other parts of Alabama yet, or is that
That's definitely part of the plan. We haven't had the opportunity to do so yet, but I think whenever we can start funneling that 10% of profits, it's really going to change the way that we're able to donate. Because the hope is that we can donate and do advocacy work all across the South, with menstruation and period poverty and period inequity being such an under-talked about topic. I think that we know that we want to make waves in that area all across the South, and not just in Mobile and not just in Alabama.
Did you apply for the launch pad?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
What was the question?
Did I apply for the Alabama Launchpad? Yeah. And for any of you that don't know, Alabama Launchpad is a competition that takes place. It's put on by the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama, EDPA. I am so surprised that I remembered all the words. But they do this competition multiple times a year. Anybody that has a business is eligible to apply. They do seed concept stage, so you just have an idea. Seed stage, you have an idea that's already on the market, and it's free money if you make it through. It's like $25,000 for concept and $50,000 for seed stage, so it's an amazing program. So I urge anybody that has a business or an idea to apply. And the focus this time is social impact for money, and they're partnering with the Alabama Power Foundation, which is another resource if you guys are interested in social impact businesses. The Alabama Power Foundation is bringing resources to the state of Alabama because we recently got this new law passed that people can register their businesses as benefit corporations and benefit LLCs, meaning that you write social impact into your operating agreement. And that organization is helping people navigate that, find resources for it, and they know a whole lot more about social impact than I do. So if you're curious, please reach out to them, and that's the Alabama Power Foundation. Yeah, I love the Alabama Power Foundation. Any more questions?
What was your support system like, as far as whether it was personal support or a network when you got started?
Yeah, so nobody else in my family is an entrepreneur. In fact, a lot of people in my family don't understand what I'm doing. My grandma, before she passed, was so supportive, but could not understand for the life of her, like, what is period underwear and why am I doing this? She was so supportive. I have seen immense support from the community all across Alabama, which has been amazingly just amazing. I never expected it because of this being such a taboo product and because of just the things surrounding the product that I'm making. I never expected to see that level of support, but the state of Alabama has continuously showed up for me, multiple organizations, and so what I thought wasn't going to be a supportive community has really turned out to be the best place that I ever possibly could be to start this business, and I'm really actually happy and proud to be an Alabamian and to have that support.